Just 7 months after Ju-on the Grudge went into wide release, Ju-on the Grudge 2 hit cinemas in Tokyo. The movie follows the well-established formula of 6 interconnected, anachronistic stories. The first episode is Kyoko. Kyoko is an actor who's expecting her first child with her fiancé, Masashi. Masashi slams on the anchors when he feels the car hit something. In the road he finds a dead cat. Kyoko sees Toshio's pale legs running towards the cat. They set off again with Toshio following. He dives down into the footwell and grabs the wheel.
10 and 2, Einstein.
The crash knocks Masashi unconscious and causes Kyoko to lose their baby. At the hospital, Kyoko sees Toshio arsing about in Masashi's room. Realising she's seen the spirit of a dead child, she asks Aki, her mother, if she had a brother who died in childhood. Aki tells her their family has always had girls, but Kyoko believes that Toshio is her unborn child. Months later, Kyoko is acting in a horror movie. Chiharu, Izumi's friend from the last movie, is acting as an extra. She stares trembling at Kyoko's stomach, then passes out. At the doctor's, Kyoko finds out that she is 3.5 months pregnant. Wait. If Kyoko lost her baby, then Toshio touches her stomach and she's pregnant again. Does that mean...
Did I just score?
At home, after falling asleep in a chair, she is woken by her mother's voice. Aki is asleep downstairs with the door wide open. She tries to wake her mum, but she is dead. Like me, you might be wondering why Aki is sleeping under a table. Turns out this particular type of table is called a kotatsu. There's a heater under the table and a blanket is draped over the table frame to trap in the heat. Tomoka is the host of a TV show about haunted houses. Late at night she's going over the script of the next programme, which will be on the Psyche House. At 12:27 she hears a loud thumping sound against the wall. The next day, while speaking with the show's director, Keisuke, and the stylist, Megumi, we learn that Kyoko will be the guest on the next show. When Tomoka returns home, she sees a figure in the dark, which she assumes is her boyfriend Nori. After she notices his shoes aren't there, the figure suddenly disappears. Shortly after, Nori arrives home for real. At 12:27, the thumping sound is heard again. While Tomoka is on the way to the shoot at the Psyches, Nori calls. He tries to leave a message but is interrupted by Kayako's death rattle. That night he goes round to her flat and finds it in darkness. As soon as he steps through the door, the lights are on, and Tomoka is sitting on the floor with her back to him. He receives a call from her saying she's on her way back from the shoot. As soon as he looks back in Tomoka's direction, she is gone and the lights are out. A tangled mess of black hair descends from the ceiling. When Tomoka returns home, she sees Nori's silhouette in the darkened room. At the Psyche house, Megumi is getting Kyoko ready for the shoot. When they head out to start recording, she notices a dark stain on the floor. During the shoot, the sound guy is startled by a sudden loud noise coming from Kyoko's mic. While taking a break from taping, Megumi is transfixed by the stain which appears to be growing. After the shoot wraps, Keisuke is waiting for Megumi to grab the last of her things when he finds Kayako's diary. Scratch marks have now appeared around the stain. The crew return to the studio. Megumi arranges some rugs. While the dailies are playing, Keisuke takes a disco nap. We hear the noise that startled the sound recordist. Megumi finds a stain in the makeup room. The wig she is holding twists in her hand. Megumi throws it to the floor, where it scuttles toward the stain. In a psychic vision, Megumi sees its origin. It was the spot where Kayako died. When Megumi comes round from the vision, she is covered in blood and scratching at the floor. The syrup rises out of the stain, with Kayako attached. At the hospital, Masashi wakes from his coma.
Alan!
Masashi!
Kaneda!
Masashi!
Tetsuo!
Masashi!
Alan!
Masashi!
Alan!
They take Masashi to the roof to catch a breeze. Kyoko puts his hand on her stomach and he starts to shake like a shitting dog. Keisuke arrives and tells Kyoko that he found Megumi dead in the makeup room and that Tomoka had been found hanged 2 days later. He has also lost contact with the cameraman and the sound guy. Keisuke drives Kyoko home. The spirit of Megumi is waiting by Kyoko's front door. They go in after her and search the house. Megumi appears to Keisuke and tries to give him Kayako's diary. Keisuke takes Kyoko to the TV station and shows her the file he has on the Psyche house. Kyoko recognises Toshio's picture. Later, Keisuke photocopies the diary for some reason. The photocopier randomly starts spitting out pages on its own. At home, Kyoko is sleeping on the kotatsu. Megumi rises from the bloodstain that's appeared on her tatami mat. Her bloody hand reaches for her.
Kyoko.
Kyoko returns to the Psyche house. Finding the front door locked, she kicks the back door in. Hearing a disturbance at the front door, she sees Chiharu frantically trying to get out. shouting for someone called Hiromi on the other side of the door. Then her baby tries to pull an alien on her. Last episode I mentioned butsudans, Japanese Buddhist altars, and ihai or spirit tablets. Originally from Confucianism, ihai are said to contain the spirits of the dead. At the altar, Buddhists will ask for protection from their dead relatives. We can assume that this is Aki's ihai, since when she was alive there were no ihai at the altar. We can also see Aki's portrait has been placed at the altar. Keeping photos of dead relatives in a sacred space in the home has been a long-standing practice in Japan. Research led by Iwayumi Suzuki found that nearly half of Japanese households display photographs exclusively of dead relatives. Daily interactions with the photographs are common, including greetings, conversation and consultations. Photographs placed on the altar are frequently prayed to and are treated as guardian deities, or in Japanese, shigoshin. In modern homes where space is limited, photographs can function as ihai, where the spirit of the dead reside. The scene where Kyoko finds out she's pregnant again ends with a close-up of an ultrasound, a photograph of her baby if you will. The next shot cuts to her home and starts on the butsudan. The camera tilts up and sweeps past photos of the dead before settling on Aki in the kitchen. The opening shot of the Keisuke episode reverses that shot, starting on the empty kitchen where Aki once stood, sweeping past the photographs that are literally and metaphorically looking down on Kyoko. Aki's spirit then appears to Kyoko. Later, when Kyoko falls asleep on the kotatsu, there's another tracking shot that begins at the altar and arcs around her. The downward angle reflects Toshio's point of view shot, implying Aki's spirit is watching over her. When Megumi's malevolent spirit comes for Kyoko, we see Aki rise from under the kotatsu, next to the ihai and her photograph. So I assume Aki's appearance in this scene to protect Kyoko is because she has become a shigoshin, Kyoko's guardian deity. Another possible connection to Buddhism I found was in the scene where Kyoko was visiting Musashi at the hospital. His mother, Kaori, in the first line of the scene, says this: Flowers are a common offering at Buddhist altars. One of flowers' symbolic meanings is impermanence. Flowers that are fresh and sweetly smelling one day fade and decay the next. I might be talking bollocks, but I think Kaori's comment is a metaphor for the premature death of anyone caught in Kayako's curse. Chiharu is in the Psyche house. She hears Kayako getting her Christmas decorations out of the attic. She runs for the stairs, then wakes up in her own bed. On the way to school, her friend Hiromi asks her if she wants to be an extra with her on a film shoot when she suddenly finds herself back in the haunted house. When she wakes up, Chiharu is at the filming location. The movie is the one we saw earlier in the Kyoko episode. This time we see it from Chiharu's point of view. When she passes out, she's back at the Psyche's. She gets the door open but is stopped by a security chain. Reaching for Hiromi, she pulls her necklace off. When she comes round, she finds the chain in her hand. Chiharu runs into the head, where she finds herself merging in and out of her dream. Kayako appears on the ceiling above her. She runs from the shit house and collides with a kid playing football. In death, she is taken by Kayako and trapped inside the house of her nightmares. At the moment of Chiharu's death, we see a raven take flight. The association between birds and death in Japan goes back to at least the early 8th century. The oldest surviving Japanese text, the Kojiki, tells the story of a dead prince who's transformed into a bird. Even today, some still believe that ravens embody the souls of the dead. Keisuke returns to the Psyche house, bumping into Hiromi as she flees the scene. He finds Kyoko in the house where she passed out earlier. She's gone into labour, so he takes her to the hospital. Just as the doctors are preparing to do a C-section, the baby starts crowning. On the roof, Masashi gets the shakes again. At the appearance of the baby, the doctors back away in fright. Toshio appears, calling his mother. Masashi has apparently taken a swan dive off the roof. Keisuke comes into the theatre and finds all the staff dead. A grown-ass Kayako crawls out of Kyoko's penny slot and slithers along the floor towards Keisuke. Even though she should have been split like a log, Kyoko somehow survives. She finds her baby wrapped up on the floor of the theatre. Years later, Kyoko is out with her daughter. She is in a trance-like state. Kayako pushes her down the steps of the railway bridge. Taking her diary, she leaves Kyoko to die. Ju-On the Grudge 2 is the last movie on this timeline, except sorta maybe Black Ghost, White Ghost, but we'll talk about that next time. Although it isn't the last movie in the franchise to be directed by Takashi Shimizu, it is the last one he'll write. I mentioned in an earlier episode that he'd written dozens of short scripts before he even rolled camera on the first short movie. To be honest, it does feel like we're getting to the bottom of that pile of scripts. It's a good half hour before anything really creepy happens, and after 4 movies we're used to seeing Kayako and Toshio, making their sudden appearances less startling and impactful as they once were. However, Kayako does have some stealthy appearances, which are more creepy when you see them for yourself. My favourite episodes were Tomoka and Chiharu, because they felt different in tone. Shimizu has spoken about being influenced by 80s horror characters like Freddy, and these episodes wore their Elm Street influence on their sleeves. I'd like to believe there's an alternative universe somewhere where Shimizu got to direct an Elm Street sequel, and that's a movie I'd love to see. I also mentioned earlier that Shimizu was happy for his audience to laugh at anything they didn't find scary, and that was certainly the case with the wig scene. I can't believe anyone would find a rug scuttling along the floor anything but completely goofy. If you enjoyed the show, do me a solid and like the smash button. Subscribe if you can be arsed, and follow me on Twitter at 2movies, where I post short videos and quick capsule reviews. You can always download Raid Shadow Legends or something. I don't know, I'm not sponsored. And join me next time for Ju-On's Black Ghost and White Ghost. I am going to kill that fucking Moomin.